Goodman and Hummel podcast, and we got Robbie Humel.
I'd known you since you were a kid.
I could blow my knee out, both knees, and still kick your ass.
We're trying to find the Robbie Humel statue.
I wanted to kill you.
All right, welcome in another episode of the Goodman and Hummel podcast. I'm Jeff Goodman. He is Robbie Humel, and you were saying you feel spry. You look spry.
I'm refreshed.
Yeah. No, you look good. You
actually caught me on some days where I've had some rough travel. You know, maybe didn't get a great night's sleep.
Yeah.
But today I am energized and I'm feeling rejuvenated for the stretch run here.
Stretch run. We're
you know, it's crazy. It's insane that we're almost to February 1st.
Yeah, it's true. It is true. I mean, you think about it, and you're right. You're almost halfway through the conference schedules now at this point, so you got a pretty good feel for the haves and the have-nots, right? Like there's a lot of teams now you can kind of cross off, and you know they have no shot at the NCAA tournament anymore. Then there's the lock teams, and then there's a lot of teams in that middle ground somewhere. And we'll talk about a few of them here coming up. I'm in beautiful, by the way, Tifton, Georgia.
I'm proud of you for getting a mic to travel with. Finally.
Yeah. Thanks. I appreciate it.
You're only a professional podcaster. You'd think you'd
that.
get yourself a microphone, you know?
Fairfield Inn and Suites. We are presented, obviously, as always, by BetMGM. And how's your haircut look, by the way? You wearing a hat. I mean, the reason we didn't do this yesterday was because you had to get a haircut, which I swear you got one 3 weeks ago.
No, I didn't. I had too much. I just had so much stuff to do yesterday. So
all right.
That's why. It's good, you know. But I was up early. I was working this morning. So I just rolled out of bed. You know, I do sometimes the XM radio for like the Big Ten channel. And it's funny because for the Eastern time zone guys, it's at 8, but for Central, it's at 7. And if you're on Pacific time, it's at 5.
Oof.
So some of those dudes that do it from the West Coast are beasts. But so the show starts at 7. For when I do the show, I set an alarm at 6:45, 6:46, 6:47, 6:49, 6:51, and 6:52. And on the 6:52 one, I know I've got to get up, throw a hoodie on, throw a ball cap on, and come in here. And by the time that it starts, I'm like still half asleep, but I'm good to go.
Well, Matt Chick carries you as always.
Dude, he did the show today. The first segment, he did it walking off the plane.
No.
He said that if they were late, they were thinking I might have to start the show. And I was like, this is my first one in a year. Welcome back. But
I had to do
that.
He
was walking up the jet bridge. I could see him on the Zoom.
As he introed in the show?
Yeah. He's a beast.
It's amazing now.
He's a pro, though. Like, he's a pro. Yeah. Something you know nothing about.
All I know is the versatile Green Bay head coach, Douglas Gottlieb, a year ago, did a show. We did a show in Stadium all year last year. He did one show, an entire show, while driving into the Fox studios. And it was video. The whole thing was video.
So what did he do? Just like put his phone kind of down, like on the console there?
No, like facing him. You know, he's got a thing for it on the.
Oh,
did he
kind of that set his phone on the dashboard? Probably.
Yeah, faces him, and he's not really watching the road very much.
Oh, that's great. That's a great thing.
Yeah, it was not the safest of shows. I'm sure.
How was the show? Afterwards. Did you feel like it was good?
I mean, I carried it, so of course it was good. Just like I do here every week.
You can't
Same
carry
thing. I'm used to this.
Pitcher of water, man.
By the way, we do have breaking news. We have breaking news on the Goodman and Hummel pod. The breaking news is, I didn't know this, but at the beginning of the year, evidently, there was a renegotiated deal here where Rob got a raise. He got a significant raise for this pod. God. And I don't know if, I can't believe that you didn't tell me this. I mean, the whole time I thought you were.
If I got a raise, that's news. That is news to me.
Look at your bank account.
Well, okay. All right. Let me see if I did. because it's in a different one than what I normally use. So
I'm told by
an offshore
an
account.
offshore account.
Here, let's see. I'll look right now. Seriously.
Monthly payments.
What's my
I'm
password?
told there's 6 monthly payments, and you get paid every month a certain amount.
Hold on. Yeah, that's how most jobs work. So
all right. Well, with you never know. You don't even look. Evidently, there's probably millions of dollars in this account that you've never even accessed.
You're such a moron. It's
your gambling account. Something. I don't know what it is.
Not. All right, here we go.
Okay.
Oh, what? My password's not recognized. No, this is really important information. That's why.
I know the viewers need to know that we are overpaying you. I mean, I have spelled it out for you what you're making per hour, how it relates to your other jobs, how much more we're paying you.
Here's what I'm going to say though.
Okay.
I would happily be fired. I really would. I would take this extra time. I could be watching something else. I could be hitting golf balls.
It's like -3 degrees out there.
I have a friend that has a simulator. All right, here we go. One-time code.
You're still working to get in access to it? I thought you were already in.
This is like the bank vault, okay? Like no one can get in, which is how I like it.
All right, let's go. We got to get to the meat and potatoes of this pod here.
Oh, wow.
See? All
right.
Got a big jump.
I did get a raise.
Yes, you got a raise. You got a raise.
Thank you to my father, Rob Doster. All right. Yeah, that's great. That's shit. I've only been working here for 6 freaking years. Never got one raise. So
big day.
It's about time.
Well, finally, you were. Somebody said you were deserving. There were some viewers that pushed back against the raise. One of which was a guy named Glenn Hummel. Said something that you did not.
He likes it when his son gets paid, so he would not push back. He got a shout out last night at the end of the Illinois-Maryland game.
Why? For what? For Illinois?
Because Benetti was trashing me with Taraf, and then he brought it around by saying that Glenn Hummel was a good tennis player at Illinois.
Good, he was great, wasn't he?
#1 singles player, but they always. Since I know he listens, I'm going to rip him because he was never able to beat Michigan and Peter Fleming.
Oh, no. Is that true?
The former doubles partner of Jimmy Connors, yes.
Peter Fleming and Connors were doubles partners forever? Like pro?
I think they had played some doubles together.
Connors was a great doubles player. Great.
Well,
no, McEnroe was better. McEnroe was
Connors was a good tennis player, period.
Right, I know.
This could be a good segue to the Illinois-Maryland game.
We'll get to that after. Let's start with UConn. Let's start with UConn.
So well.
Right. I know, but I want to start with a UConn team that you've been watching film of that you're going to have the game of tomorrow against Xavier in Cincinnati, which are you going to get a limo driver for that drive? How far is that one?
I'll fly to Cincinnati's far from here.
How far? 4?
It would be like a 5-hour drive, I bet.
Okay. Yeah, that's a rough drive for you. Drive.
That's down to that's like down to southern Indiana, almost like in Kentucky.
Brutal drive. Anyway, you've been watching tape of UConn that frankly hasn't looked great lately. But I will say this. Listen, this UConn team with Liam McNeely, I think, is a second tier, maybe second weekend team that if things broke completely right, maybe they go back to the Final Four. Maybe. And they'd have to break right. Without Liam McNeely, they look like just another tournament team. I mean, they're barely beating Butler.
Yeah.
Look at the stretch they've been on, Rob. And ever since they beat
Gonzaga, close games, right? Nova,
every game.
Georgetown, Creighton, Butler, all 4 of those close.
Against like okay teams. Okay Big East teams. You're fighting to beat Georgetown. You're fighting to beat Butler, I think, twice in this stretch. You've lost a couple here, and you barely beat Xavier back at the start of this run when they didn't
overtime.
They didn't have Fremantle. They didn't have Fremantle last time either. So this UConn team has not looked overpowering by any means, but obviously they've looked a lot better than they did in Maui for those 3 games. Where do you see this team now that you've watched them? I guess first give me your first impressions of this Huskies team.
Well, I think just from watching a couple games, their offense is as enjoyable to watch as anyone in the country. The off-ball stuff for solo ball, the stuff for Caravan. I love the way, we see a lot of teams run pick and roll with the Spain back screen. They do it differently in the sense they set the screen late, and it's awesome. Now Butler guarded it pretty well by just kind of that whoever was guarding the guy setting the screen basically switched and took the ball, and then they figured it out after that. But yeah, the stuff they're running is next level stuff. It's awesome off the ball. They occupy the weak side. It's like exactly what you would want. If you're thinking like, how can we make an offense that is going to get everybody involved with some motion concepts and just is going to be incredibly difficult to guard with counters to everything, you would watch UConn and be like, this is what you would hope to strive to be. Defensively, it's a bit of a struggle, right?
Yeah.
Like,
well, they don't have Kling, and they don't have Kling,
and that too. Like, and they still block a lot of shots between Caravan and Samson Johnson and Terrace Reed, but Klingon was like the ultimate deterrent, and that's the ultimate safety blanket. And you don't necessarily have that on this team. And then on top of that, I think some of their perimeter defenders just aren't. I think Caravan in terms of guarding on the ball isn't great average. for certain matchups. It's going to be hard. I think solo ball is average defensively, and you look at even a guy like a Jalen Stewart who's playing a lot of minutes right now. He gets lost defensively, so they've got some issues on the defensive end of the floor. I agree with you. If McNeely can get back, that would take so much pressure off Hassan Diarra, and Diarra has done his part.
He's been awesome.
He totally has.
Yep.
He's a guy that can break you down off the bounce. He's top 10 in the country in assists a game. He has been really the only guy that at the end of the day, if there really is pressure, he can get into the painted area. And Caravan can drive a closeout. But I think if you have McNeely, you're putting him in some DHOs, some pick and rolls, bringing him off screens. He makes plays for himself. He makes plays for others. I'm with you. If they're healthy and the matchups are right, they could easily be a second weekend team or even do a Final Four because they are offensively awesome to watch. They really are. But the defensive end is not great.
They move the ball. They exploit matchups, and frankly, without McNeely, even with McNeely to some extent, Rob, they don't have a guy. You saw it the other night. Like Diarra is the one trying to make the play with the game on the line. They don't have that, right? Like I would say I'd rather the ball be in McNeely's hands for those type of plays. But even with Liam McNeely, he's not that either. It's almost matchup based or system based and trying to get maybe the best shot because you're not going to have a guy that you're saying like, hey, we're going to give the ball to him, clear out, or even run ball screen with. I mean, in a way, I think maybe you run it with like McNeely and somebody instead of Diarra and somebody. The problem is they don't have a big either. They don't have really like a lob threat big. Samson Johnson's decent, but he's not clanging.
He's a lob threat, though. I mean, Samson Johnson, he's just so skinny.
Yeah,
Caravan was a lob threat, but he also brought mass with him, right? Yeah. Like he had a force to him.
They got a lot of really good players. I guess that's what it is. And then you have guys like Jalen Stewart and Solo Ball that are a little bit inconsistent.
Yeah, but I love Solo Ball. They run more screens for that dude off the ball. Guarding him, you'd be like dying by the end of the game. It's
all game, and they know
run
that.
The baseline.
Yes,
he's a beast.
And he can make those. That's
totally.
They figure. I think Dan Hurley and his staff do an unbelievable job of like of the strength of showcasing the strengths of each player.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Like figuring out, okay, we're going to adapt to this is our personnel. This is each player. How are we going to be able to kind of use their strengths to our advantage? Yep. They do that better than just about anybody, where there's so many coaches around the country, John Calipari, that don't do that. They just
Did you have to do that? Did you have to take a shot?
I'm just saying.
You can't help yourself.
Hurley is such an elite coach.
He is.
And has adapted so well that again, I mean, listen.
They're going to have to guard Xavier, though. Xavier's got some dynamic guards.
They do.
You know, like in Conwell.
Yep.
And Davion McKnight.
Yep.
Fremantle can be a tough guard inside out. That's going to be interesting. Xavier playing better. I mean, I know they blew the lead against St. John's.
They just can't close out games. They can't close out close games very often.
They did it at Marquette. Well, they did. They didn't really. It wasn't closing it out like putting away a 15-point win. It was closing it out by hanging on for dear life.
Correct.
Right?
And they've lost I don't know, Cincinnati. They lost Cincinnati, TCU.
Yeah, they've had a lot of close losses.
A lot
of close losses.
But the
UConn overtime.
You know what the
Marquette
beauty
at
is?
Home.
Both the leagues that you cover right now, there's not a lot of separation. There's not a lot of separation. And I think that goes for the country, Rob. Before we get to the Big Ten, I think that goes for the country is I'm going to see Tennessee play Auburn. I've seen Auburn play twice already. I saw them lose at Duke and barely beat South Carolina. Now, they were without Janai Broome in that game, and he might be back for this one. We'll see. I don't think Auburn's like heads and shoulders above these other teams that we're talking about, whether it's Duke, whether it's Tennessee, who we're going to see, whether it's
It's not like
Alabama.
last year where it felt like UConn and Purdue were the best teams.
They were.
Like they were the best teams all year. Yep. They were the best teams at the end of the year. Honestly, if you look at like Ken Palm right now and you're looking at teams and you're looking at like the top 20,
right?
Yeah, and you could make a case for most of those teams that they could get hot at the right time and make a run to the Final Four.
Yeah,
it's just
I'm not
parity.
Discounting. Like I'm not going to do what people want to do these days, which is when a team goes on like a 2 or 3 game losing streak, like you cross them, like Purdue lays an egg like they did last game to some degree, right? They did. I mean, they weren't good at home against Ohio State.
I mean, they were up 15 with a chance to put them away and didn't.
Right.
So
you know, those are, to me, everybody's going to have those for the most part. There might be a couple teams that don't have many of them. But look at Tennessee. I mean, they get blown out by Florida. And then Florida almost loses to South Carolina the other day.
Yep.
Like, there's just very little disparity, I think, from 1 to 25 or 30 overall.
Agreed.
Whoever. I mean, listen, I'll say this. Again, maybe be the wrong example, but like Arkansas is like not a tournament team right now. They're not a tournament team.
Oh my
but I wouldn't want to play them.
You couldn't pick anybody else.
All right.
I
still wouldn't want to play them. Would you want to play Arkansas? All I'm saying is
no, because they've got some guards that can go.
I mean, if Janelle Davis ever figures, or if John Calipari ever figures Janelle Davis out, they could be a totally different team.
This podcast has
I'm just saying.
Its way.
I'm just saying.
It's lost its way.
All right, let's get on to who do you want to hit on next? You want to hit Illinois and the inconsistencies of the Illini?
Yeah.
What is going on? I can't. They're the team, Rob. If there's one team where you told me right now, like, hey, Jekyll and Hyde, I just can't get a really good feel. And I know they've got some excuses lately. Big Avicic was out. Obviously, Jakasionis was in foul trouble, and then he missed the game before that in which they lost. They've had their issues, but still their highs are so high and their lows are so low. It's like, tell me what I should think about this Illinois team.
You know what's crazy is that you cover college basketball, and this guy, Jakasionis, is going to be a lottery pick, and you can't even say his name right. You know?
Yeah, I screwed it up, didn't I? I screwed it up.
Yeah.
It's Doster. I think Doster screws it up, but I listen to him, and now I'm all confused with it. What I said.
But yeah, they've lost 3 or 4. They haven't had Jakasionis didn't play against USC. He was in foul trouble against Michigan State. Maryland, you don't have a Avicic. Apparently the flu is going through.
Yeah.
But like, even if you don't have a Avicic, that's not an excuse to give up 60 points in the paint to Maryland and lose by 21 points. You still have Morez Johnson. You know, you still you have to have a next man up mentality.
What about Kerry Booth? Like he'd start on some teams.
Yeah, and he, I think that if he was doing the things that Brad wanted, he would play more.
Yeah.
He doesn't play, so there's a reason for that. But yeah, he's a talented kid, top 100 player coming out of high school. I don't know. I saw him at Northwestern, and they kind of didn't close that game out. I saw him against Tennessee. They definitely didn't close that game out. They are a very new group, and they do depend on 2 freshmen and a first-year sophomore to give the bulk of their production, plus heavy portal. Dre Gibbs Lawhorn only returning. So I think that while there's a lot of talent on Illinois, the way they play too is a little bit concerning in the sense that I think they're last or second to last in 3-point field goal percentage in conference play. And they take over half their shots come from three. So, the highs when they're making shots, you've got Penn State, you've got Oregon, where they're just blowing their doors off. They look amazing. But when the shots aren't going in, and they haven't been going in conference play, that's a lot of threes to be chucking up. The offensive rebounding, they've been a good offensive rebounding team, so they do get second chances. But if they're not going to make shots, it's a problem for the way they want to play. Kind of like what Alabama's gone through, but to a higher degree. Yeah, they're
Alabama's
17
got more
field goal percentage.
And Alabama, I don't know, maybe just because Sears did it last year, they had more returning. I feel more confident that this Alabama team will show some consistency because they have more returning pieces. Here's my question.
Reitzel's injury hurts them, though.
Totally.
No question.
Totally.
If you haven't heard by now, we have partnered with BetMGM for the season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all of our picks, and we'll have special offers for the listeners and the viewers. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using the bonus code FIELD. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets. Go download the BetMGM app and use the code FIELD today. Now that the college basketball season is in full swing, you need to make sure that you have access to the best betting tool on the market, the Rhythm app. Spelled RITHMM, is a data-backed app that uses AI and analytics to identify inefficiencies in betting lines and the player prop market that will allow you, the user, to profit. You can create customized, analytics-driven betting models tailored to your personal preferences as a bettor. Users have access to up to the second against the spread data. And if you're like me and you understand pictures better than numbers on a screen, Rhythm's internal trend analysis provides you with the kind of graphs that will allow you to evaluate past results and project future performance in a visual way. Every Division I college basketball team is included in the Rhythm's metrics. Free subscribers to the Field of 68 Daily will get 25% off for a Rhythm subscription. Use the QR code on the screen to sign up or download at the link in the description.
All right, so who would you rather, if I played a game of who would you rather have this year, who would you rather kind of bet the Hummel Mansion on? Illinois or Michigan State?
Ooh.
Because they're very different, right?
Yeah.
One's got the high upside. The other, you kind of know what you're going to get out of this Michigan State team, but the upside probably isn't there.
Yeah, that's tough. Because, like, with Illinois, you've got lottery picks, or a lottery pick, and Will Riley.
And another first-round pick.
Yeah. Michigan State's schedule, and you play who you play, but their schedule has been favorable to get off to a great start. True. Minnesota on the road, Nebraska at home, Ohio State on the road. So Ohio State's a good team, but Washington at home, Northwestern. They've played mostly bottom half teams until Illinois. They beat Illinois. That's a great win. But their schedule is certainly back end loaded. Boy, it's hard to say that I would take Illinois when Michigan State's sitting at 7-0.
That's a tough call, isn't it?
It is. But
I'm going to make it even harder for you.
Great.
I'm gonna throw Purdue in there too. I'll throw Purdue in there also. And out of those three, what's the game that people play? They're like kill.
Mary,
what is it? It's like marry, kill, or something. What is it? What are the three options?
What is the third one?
We're gonna do marry.
We can't say it on the podcast.
All right, we can't. All right, but
it's a family friendly pod.
Yeah, if you were gonna, again, bet your house on one, sell your house in the other, and rent. How's that? You're gonna bet your house.
Stupid.
You're gonna rent.
Why do we do these? Why do we do these stupid
games?
Hypotheticals.
I don't, because I want fans to hate you. I want fan bases to absolutely hate you. Whoever you're selling the house on, we know it's not Purdue. I should have picked another third team.
All right, then pick a different third team.
Who would be the third team?
Michigan, Wisconsin, Oregon.
Michigan. We'll go Michigan. So Michigan, Michigan State, and the Illini. You're buying one, you're renting one, and you're selling the other.
I'm gonna go on. I hate this. I'm gonna buy Michigan.
You are. Whoa! You're gonna buy Michigan?
I think I am.
Holy shit! I
I'm gonna
didn't
buy
expect
Michigan.
this.
I like the Wolf Golden combo.
Yeah.
This could look terrible tonight if they go to Purdue and just get murdered. But yeah, and I love the way that Dusty May's teams play. I worry about their turnovers, but you know they've got some dynamic players in the backcourt with Donaldson and Gale. Namari Burnett is having a really quietly
Underrated.
excellent season. So they've got good guards. They've got good bigs. I wish they wouldn't throw the ball all over Chrysler Arena, but they do. Some of that's a product of playing fast, but I'm going to go Michigan. And then what were the other two options?
The other two options were the Illini and Michigan
No,
State.
I know what I'm buying
Rent or sell. Rent or sell.
I'm not selling any of these teams.
You have to sell one of the three.
No, I don't. I can buy and hold. So I will rent Michigan State and Illinois.
You still didn't make a decision. All right, you have to make a decision between those two, though. Who you feel better about for this season, for the tournament for this season, Illinois or Michigan State? It sounds like
I'm going to go, okay, even though Illinois has better high-end talent because Akins leads Michigan State at scoring at 14 a game, I feel like Michigan State has more continuity and they have more identity because they are saying this is what we're trying to do. And with Illinois, they're trying to shoot a bunch of threes for a team that doesn't shoot all that well. So I'll go Michigan State for that reason.
You know, really interesting. I didn't realize you were this high on Michigan.
Like, never asked me.
Yeah, we haven't really talked a lot about Michigan this year. I saw them once in Charlotte, and remember they lost that game to Oklahoma last second. Phantom.
They've lost a
foul.
lot of close games too.
Yeah, the phantom foul though on Fierce in that one. I like him too. You know, and I love Danny Wolf, and Vlad Golden's playing like unbelievable this year. I mean, he's been absolutely terrific. You know, I'm kind of like you. Wolf is a little bit up and down in those turnovers. And if he can be better, I love the fact that you can run things through him and he makes unbelievable passes at times, but sometimes he looks like he's point shaving out.
Yeah, this pick could look horrible because, Michigan does the loss to Minnesota.
Right. They could lose in the first round. They get in the tournament and lose in the first round. But any of these actually, I will say this, Rob. I actually think the safest pick of all of them is Michigan State in the tournament. I just feel like you got Tom Izzo in the tournament, number one. You have veterans. You have bigs that now I think are solid. You know, I feel a little bit better about listen, they're not going to blow you away.
No, but like Kohler has made a big step.
Yep.
Zapawa has been pretty good. Cooper
Booker's got his moments.
Booker comes in as like a off-speed guy to shoot threes for sure.
So you got UConn, Xavier. What else you got coming up?
Great question.
You don't know?
I haven't really. I have a game Tuesday. I think it's Michigan State, Minnesota.
Okay.
And then I have Maryland. Who do they play on Wednesday? Maryland. Yeah, Maryland on Wednesday against. I'm really not sure. Who do they play? Dude, I'm just like one game at a time. Oh, Wisconsin. And then I am doing Purdue, Indiana on Friday.
In Bloomington or in
West
No, that's at Purdue.
Yeah.
I'd like to go to that. I'm not sure I'm going to get to Indiana this year.
I think you've been banned from all Indiana schools.
No, they like me there.
Purdue banned you. IU banned you.
Purdue loves me.
I think
Purdue
Notre Dame banned you too. Micah Shrewsbury banned you as well.
Indiana. Oh, there's a cat coming at me right now in the Fairfield Inn.
Get him on. My cat has been on.
I'm scared of cats.
You're such a coward. I'm not surprised.
I'm scared of cats. I'm telling you. Hold on. Let's see if we can get him in here. See him?
No. I see the table.
Oh,
Oh, there he is. Yeah, nice.
all right. It's back
Dude,
here.
I hope he claws you.
He's like right behind me now. He's right behind. I'm terrified.
He must be friendly if he came over to you.
He's just sitting
Try to
right
pet
now.
him.
I think he's going to my bag now. I don't know whose cat it is though. It's really kind of interesting. I don't see anybody around here. Could just be the Fairfield Inn cat.
It might be. Let's talk about Maryland before we finish
All right,
this.
let's talk about Maryland because I gotta go. I gotta get to Auburn. So the Terps obviously have two really good bigs. Like when their bigs are playing well, I don't know if anybody can stand up to Derek Queen and Julian Reese, right? Like, wouldn't you agree? Like they're two of the most talented.
Queen hasn't played all that well these last like 3 or 4 games.
True. And
he was really poor against Nebraska, and at Northwestern he was getting just hunted for matchups.
Yeah. So are you buying? I mean, Gillespie has been one of the best portal additions in the country. We know that. Willard's team, I mean, this is a big win to get a good win on the road because that's something.
Because their road woes have been pretty well documented.
Yes.
I saw them against Purdue, and I left the game. They lost, but I thought, man, they have a good team. But it hasn't necessarily materialized like that. But you look at their pieces, like Rodney Rice can score at 3 levels. Selton Miguel is a tank.
Yes.
6'4", big guard, can make a shot. I like Kapari coming off the bench. I've seen him play well at times. He can make a 3. He's really athletic. You have Deshaun Harris-Smith off the bench. You have Jay Young off the bench. But I want to keep seeing more. They didn't play well against Nebraska. They have struggled, and they didn't play well against Minnesota. Like they're very capable. I like their roster. I think they turn you over. They have the bigs. They can get you on the glass. They have guards that can score. You mentioned all the positives about Maryland. They should be a top 5 or 6 team in the Big Ten, I think. But for whatever reason,
they're right
that
there.
hasn't necessarily clicked.
No, they're like 6th right now. They're 5-4. They're a half game out of 4th place.
Yeah,
and so it's funny when you look at the standings.
5-4, you'd think that would be more like 9th place, but
yeah, no, I agree. But I think there's been some separation right early, and it didn't take long. Like I thought it might take longer. But look, Washington, Minnesota, Nebraska, Rutgers, even Ohio State's 3-5. That might be a little bit surprising. Northwestern 3-5, Iowa, Penn State 3-5. Those are all teams that you would expect. Those are the bottom 8. And to be honest, if you had told me before the season, pick your bottom 8, I probably would have listed 7 of those.
Yeah.
Right?
But you would have probably thrown USC in there.
Yeah, they're 4-4, and they could end up there. They could end up there.
But Muss has done a good job.
Yes.
They look so much better than what they did in November.
Yeah, and that win at Illinois was huge. But, to me, you can legitimately, and I know now it's going to be tough because some of these teams are 5-4, but like Illinois is 5-4 right now. It's hard to imagine them winning the league.
Yeah.
But
especially because they've lost multiple games at home.
At home, right.
That's what kills you.
But like Michigan State could win the league, no doubt. Michigan could win the league. Purdue could win the league. Oregon's 5-3. Like, do you think it's a 3-horse race? Do you think Michigan State, Michigan, Purdue are the clear?
Might be too early. I mean, they have separated themselves, I think, as the tier 1. And I would have said Illinois was in there too, except for these losses.
So they're the one. They're the one that you thought it was a 4-horse race, and now you're like,
yeah. And I think Oregon's out because they have 3 home losses.
Yeah,
but they have a lot of talent though.
They do,
and they have won
a
lot
on
the
this
road.
League. I actually love this league this year. I think it's been overlooked. And now again, the high end, I don't know if they're going to have teams that have a chance to win the whole thing.
Yeah,
but I think it's like every night there's
the depth is crazy. The depth is really
it just
would be it would be terrifying as a coach.
It's like it's like the SEC light is what it is this year, right? It's like take it all a step down, but the parity's still there, the depth is still there. I don't know. I mean, listen, there's some good Big 12s really good this year too. The one that really has been a little disappointing, 2 of them, ACC's been very disappointing, and the Big East has been disappointing. It hasn't been, the depth hasn't been there. Providence has been disappointing. Creighton, but they both dealt with injuries.
Sure. You could throw Xavier in there.
Xavier's just been, whether it's the injury to Fremantle that screwed him up for a little while and hurt, but I think it's more, honestly, their inability to win close games.
But I think the injury to Traore in the preseason hurt him too.
That's true. Because then you're right, you wouldn't have had to play Hughley. You would have had another front court option.
Well, and you could play Fremantle to foursome. Right. You could kind of mix and match how you want to play. But yeah, and the ACC, I don't know how they fix that because schools that used to be good are no longer good.
It's amazing. We need to have a conversation about that at some point, about like how does Jim Phillips, the ACC commissioner, how do you get this back on track?
Talk to Greg Sankey.
Yes, I mean, it's money. A lot of it's money.
And that's what that is. It's
right.
Cash.
Right. It's SEC money. It's TV money. SEC, Big Ten have the money.
But think about like some of the teams that the ACC has. Like Boston College when I was a kid was good.
They were good.
They were a good program. Miami, Florida is horrible this year, but they have been good.
Yep.
Syracuse, obviously, we know what they were.
Virginia.
Pitt has not been what they were in the Big East with Jamie Dixon. Although I do think Jeff Capel has done a pretty good job here these last couple of years.
No, but it's Virginia, Louisville, or two, and Syracuse are three that really should be.
But Louisville is one of the better teams in the league now. They're 8-1.
No, I'm not saying this year so much, but again, like Louisville, you don't think of them this year as like a power. You think of them as like a good team, but not a power, not a resume win. Like they used to be a resume win. You beat Louisville, that was a huge, huge win.
Sure.
You beat Louisville, this year it certainly accounts for something, but it's not what it used to be.
Yeah.
And Syracuse and Virginia are they're garbage right now.
Yeah, think about also Florida State just being average, whereas they had become a pretty dependable.
Yeah. Well, I think part of it is
top-end team.
Leonard Hamilton and Larinaga are in their 70s, right? You saw, Carolina's inconsistent since Roy left. Boston College, I think made, it's a hard job anyway, but I just didn't think the hire fit Boston College. Steve Forbes hasn't been able to get Wake going. He's gotten them close. You
They're
kind of
7-1 in the league, though. I know the non-conference is disappointing.
Yep. Clemson's been good. There's a few teams there. The problem is, again, you're not going to have the depth when you don't win in November and December.
Yeah. Period. Well, and if Carolina is what Carolina has been this year, that's a problem.
Right. All right. Listen, I'm gonna call this at 40 minutes or whatever we're doing right now because I want you to be able to go out there and take that extra money that you're earning from your salary bump, from your bonus, and go out and buy something. Like what do you need, Rob? What does Robbie Hummel need right now?
What do I need? I need a new 3-wood. That's what I need.
All right, there you go. There you go. Take that extra money and go get yourself a new 3-wood and try to learn how to use it. The sad thing is
that even with this raise, I probably don't even make like a fourth of what you're making on this podcast.
You were like
the Scrooge McDuck of this operation.
We have added up your total hours on this pod.
How many?
Total hours for the year. 20 hours?
20.
20 hours.
All right. It's 20 too many.
Unbelievable. I'm going to have to call Scott Martin.
Honestly, fire me. I want to be fired. I would take this 40 minutes that we just spent could have been spent doing something totally more productive.
More productive?
Yes, it could have been. But
right,
instead I had to talk to you.
I might do I might actually do off-season auditions. And I'm going to start with Scott Martin. Then I'm going to move on to Etwan Moore. Maybe Juwan Johnson. Like we're gonna fill it with a better Boilermaker. That's the goal.
I would be happy to pass
a better
the torch.
Boilermaker.
And I would tell them, be careful. Jeff is a bad partner.
Be careful. All right, there you have it. Make sure you subscribe. The cat is still lurking over here. I'm telling you, I'm not a cat.
Dude, just go pet him.
No, he just doesn't look friendly.
If he's lurking around, he probably is pretty friendly.
He's like a scraggly looking cat.
Wow, you're a hater.
I don't understand how they just let this cat roam.
Well, just ask the front desk if it's somebody's cat.
I just crashed the Fairfield. I'm not even staying here. What do you mean?
I hope they charge you for the Wi-Fi.
All right. We'll see you next week. Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend. Goodman and Hummel pod, and we'll find out next week